to the Women's Business Society podcast, where you can listen to the experts who I pick their brains for hot tips and tricks to help grow your business. Thank you to our major sponsor, Book It Bookkeeping, and a shout out to all our members, with a special mention to So Beautiful, who provides all the gifts at our WBS networking events. Welcome to the WBS podcast. We're here with Carolyn King from EmpowerKin Kinesiology to talk about stress relief techniques using kinesiology. So thank you, Carolyn, for joining us today. I'm super excited to be interviewing you.
Thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be chatting with you.
Now, just so everyone knows, we have a little bit of a cold, so both of us have that beautiful, sexy, husky voice. Well, it's not so sexy anymore. It's at the end of the cold. So we're going to try to keep our voices for all of you. So, okay, before we begin, because I know you've got some really juicy techniques and tips for us, I want you to tell us a bit about why you started your business and when you started your business, so we can get insight into, just what you're creating in your world of kinesiology. So take it away.
Yeah, sure. So I didn't know what kinesiology was many years ago. My husband and I were struggling to fall pregnant, and my hairdresser had said, go see a kinesiologist. And I'd always been interested in natural therapies, and I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. I had no idea what he was going to do. And I was lying on the table, and he moved my arms around and got me to do some things. And then we did go through the IVF clinic, but we fell pregnant our first cycle, and it was just injections. And I remember walking into the clinic, and they said to me, oh, you fell pregnant first go. That doesn't happen very often. And at the time I thought, oh, that's interesting. Maybe there's something to that kinesiology thing that I did. And so the second time we fell pregnant naturally, really easily. And again, it made me think, was there a sabotage in me? But I didn't quite understand what it meant. Fast forward a few years later, and I thought, no, I want to do something different. I was an accountant office manager, and I wanted to get into natural therapies. And every time I Googled natural therapies, this kinesiology school would come up, and it was only maybe 20 minutes up the road from me. And I thought, oh, I'll give them a call. And I gave them a call, and she said, oh, we've got an info night tonight. And I thought, oh, okay, cool. Went to the info night and just fell in love with it. And so that started my kinesiology journey. And from the first class, I just thought, this is what I'm meant to do. And then towards the end of, I think 3 years later, it took me 3 years to get my diploma, was when I hit rock bottom with my depression. And it was really interesting because at that time I'd learned a whole lot of kinesiology, but I hadn't actually worked through my depression. I'd sort of just gone through the motions of learning this technique. And it was that following year that I used my kinesiology techniques along with some spiritual development to heal myself from depression. And it was from there that my business really started to, I guess, that's where it was really born from that moment on. I wanted to help people overcome the negative mindset that can happen with depression. It doesn't even have to be full-on depression. It can just be a negative mindset. And so that was probably, I think, 2013 when I really started to look at my business as a business rather than just something I did on the side. And it sort of grew from there. And I guess I've just been working alongside just working through it now with different clients and seeing where it leads.
Wow, I didn't actually know that story. I love, it's always interesting when you ask people this question, because it's not like, and I've said this before in a podcast, it's not like you wake up one day and just go, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. Often sort of life sort of guides you, not pushes you, sort of guides you down this road, and you don't know what's around the corner. You didn't know that just from one experience, you learn all these things, and now you're helping others, and you sort of followed your probably gut instinct, or you just sort of listened, didn't you, to yourself and let that take its course, and because maybe you'd still be an accountant if it wasn't for that whole story, everything you said.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, because I've also done Reiki and crystal healing and an angel intuitive course. I've done so many other spiritual things prior to this, but I never actually implemented any of them in a business because I never had the confidence to do it, and I guess it wasn't the right time for me, but it was. But now when I'm doing kinesiology, I can bring in the Reiki, or I bring in the crystals, or I bring in the angels. So nothing ever goes to waste. But I needed the kinesiology as that catalyst to, I guess, throw me into being a business person and owning my own business.
Yeah. So were you a spiritual person before that experience?
I think it was back when I was about Oh, look, I've always been open to different things. And when I was about 14, 15, I got introduced to essential oils, aromatherapy, and then I bought some lavender. I thought, wow, this helped my headache.
Yeah.
And then about 16, I remember seeing some crystals and I fell in love with rose quartz and amethyst at that time. And I think that's where my journey started. And it just started from there slowly. I mean, I guess being a spiritual person it's an evolution. You never stop growing, and you never it's not easy to say this is where it started, but I know that's my first memory of going, wow, I love these crystals, because I grew up in a Catholic household, so that crystals and aromatherapy, it wasn't something that I was exposed to.
Yeah.
And somehow I think I've always wanted to know more. I'm one of those people that love to read and always looks for more. Mm-hmm. And that's probably my earliest memory. And then it just evolved from there, and I just dabble in, like I said, I did a Reiki course and a crystal course and I did the Angel Intuitive course with Doreen Virtue from Hay House for my 29th birthday. So it's been an evolution, and I guess for me, it still continues.
Yeah.
I don't stop.
Yeah.
And
it's funny how, in life, sometimes you sort of not go with the flow, but you do what you're sort of supposed to do when you need to pay the bills and all that sort of stuff. And then when you've given the opportunity to just explore yourself a little bit more, these sort of doors open up. And I was speaking to someone at a party the other day, and they were talking about doing what you love, and that's the greatest gift to give your child, is for them to explore themselves, to find out what those things are. And this person said, I never, I haven't even found what that is, what I am good at or I do enjoy. I just sort of fell into what I'm doing now. And they've got a really, really good job, quite high powered, but it's not really what they chose to do. It's just that's what they ended up doing. And I said, well, I feel so lucky because I work with women every day who have found that thing that they enjoy and love and allowed themselves to explore that. And it's so powerful because it's like happiness that you could never, we work so hard, but in something we love so much. And I just feel so grateful, to have given myself that time. And, same for you, that you gave yourself that time to grow into these new shoes. And you realize, oh my God, there's so much more I want to learn, which you continue to do.
And you're absolutely right. I see a lot of clients, they come to me and they're not happy. And I say, well, what is it that you like to do?
Yeah.
And it's really sad. They've sort of lost the ability to even figure out what that is, because I guess, traditionally we're taught to grow up and to get into a traditional job, go to university or college, have a normal job. I didn't go to uni. I got into university and I didn't go. And I still remember I actually deferred the Friday before I was supposed to start. Mm. And I remember Dad saying to me, you're never going to get a job. What are you doing? This is silly, because he immigrated to Australia. So for him, it was a big deal to give us a really good education. And in his mind, education was university. Yeah. And I found a job within a week. Mm. And I think that was just a testament to me saying, hang on, Dad, I can do this. Yeah. And then I went back and studied accounting at TAFE part-time, and I enjoyed it. And there's a part of me that likes accounting, but obviously I love kinesiology, and I love just opening doors to see where life can take me. I guess now and that's the biggest, you're right, that's the biggest bit of happiness, when you can explore what makes you happy and actually do it.
Exactly. And it's a biggest adrenaline rush, a good adrenaline rush that you can give yourself. And the thing is, it opens up your mind to so much learning. Like it's so wonderful to find something you want to learn more about. And I often call, the opposite being the Walking Dead, like just letting life throw things at you. But I think when you know what you want, you know what you enjoy, you take more control of your day and your life as well. So it's very important to me, and I feel very, very grateful that I get to work with women every day that are in the same mindset as well, because it's wonderful. It puts a big smile on our face, even at 1 o'clock in the morning. We're still working at that hour.
And I agree with you. If I'm having one of those days where I'm feeling a bit flat, if I see a client, I just love the change that I get to see in them, and that just puts me on a high for the rest of the day. Just seeing, say they walk in and they're feeling wobbly, and they walk out and they go, I feel like a different person. I'm floating on a cloud. And I go, that's awesome. Yeah. And to see that change in like an hour, which is what, a session usually is. And I've seen it quite often lately where clients have said that to me. That just puts me on a high. I just think I'm helping people. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's because instinctual, that's what Carolyn likes to do. You're a helper. You know, you like to help
Yes.
people and you won't be satisfied. My my eldest, he's got that character. I see he just wants to help people, and if he's not alive. He's not alive.
Yeah.
You know, whereas my other son, he's different. You know, he's more about himself. I'm the same. And the thing is, unless you feed that part of you, you can fall into depression very quickly. If you're
I think that was.
Yeah, I know
Sorry,
what you're
there
about
goes my
to
voice.
say. I know what you're about to say, actually. But go say it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why I did fall into depression,
Yeah.
because I wasn't living my life. I sort of felt stuck, and I always thought I was a left brain person doing accounting. That's a left brain job.
Yeah.
And I was always a logical person, and I was always good at school. I was always good at maths and anything sort of that sort of related. I was always really good at it. So I just thought, okay, I'm a logical person. But I think kinesiology helped open up my right side, my right brain, and I'm not so left brain. I love creating. I love colouring in. I love drawing, and I can't draw. But, get me to a drawing class and I'll just have a ball because I just do it for the fun of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's missing with a lot of people too. They don't want to trust just having fun for the sake of having fun. There's too much judgment on what the outcome's going to be rather than just doing it.
Exactly. And you know what? If you're not feeling... if you're not feeling great, you're feeling depressed, the first thing I like to ask myself, because I think we all can fall into that pattern of thought sometimes, is why am I feeling this way? Don't try to mask it. This is my personal opinion, and it's mine. Everyone's got their own. But, people who do go to alcohol or do go to this or do go to that, anything, to mask what that depression is, you really have to go, why am I feeling this way? And I need to find what that hole is, like find out why there's a hole, because it could be just, for example, for you, it's helping people. And when that's not being fulfilled, that hole just gets bigger. If you fill it with the wrong things, that's not a good thing for human beings to do. So it's satisfying. So well done. Thank you.
And I would agree with you. And see, and that was a big part of my learning. I personally chose not to take medication.
Yeah.
So I did my growth from depression was through personal development, kinesiology and personal development classes to get to the core of exactly why I was depressed, because I didn't want to mask it. And but if people, I'm not going to judge anyone that does. And I have lots of clients that are medicated, and some really do need to be. But, again, from my point of view, I think a lot of people, if they dealt with figuring out why they're depressed, they probably wouldn't need to take the medication.
Exactly.
But that's just a personal opinion of mine. Not everybody, but just some people. No, because
there's chemical imbalances, and
yes, absolutely.
There's people that they do need to take, and I've got my own story about that, but it's not the place to share it. But you do with the knowledge that you have, and then you get told by doctors what you need to do. Depending what professional you go to. So if you go to a doctor, they're going to prescribe this. If you go to a kinesiologist, they can prescribe this. So whatever, headspace that you're in, you're going to trust that person. Then, and the thing is, it's just with what we've been taught. If you're taught to go to, to external things to make you feel better, you've got to break that habit, don't you? But you need to go to someone that can help you break that habit, because you're only doing what you know. So please, firstly, can you tell us what kinesiology is? Because some people, that could be a scary word. I do know people that say a word like that and they're like, oh, you're, weird. So I want to educate people about something new. So for people who don't know, please tell us what kinesiology is.
Sure. So kinesiology is a holistic complementary therapy. So what that means is we can work alongside any other practitioner. So you don't come to us and not a doctor. You could come to us as well as a doctor or a therapist or a psychologist. And it's holistic in the sense that we're looking at the mind, body and spirit, which means that we're looking at you as a person rather than whatever it is you're coming to see a kinesiologist for. So I could have 3 different people coming to me with the same issue, but I would treat every single one of them differently depending on what they need. And what it is, it's actually you look at the meridians in the body. So you've heard of acupuncture. Mm-hmm. We use those same energy channels, and we use an indicator muscle, so an arm muscle. So you're lying on a table essentially, and there's an arm muscle that I'm putting slight pressure on, and that muscle locks or unlocks. And a lock usually means that there is that's a truth or a non-stress, and an unlock means that there's a stress in the body. And the reason that happens is because that arm is like a little bit of a guide to our brain. It's like the output from our brain, and we're testing the integrity of the connection from the brain to the arm. So when we get stressed, it just shows that the body goes weak, essentially, and that arm's just telling us, oh, there's a stress here. And that stress could be an emotional stress, which with kinesiology we deal a lot with emotions. It could be a dietary stress. It could be an environmental stress. It could be a stress about anything, really. Okay. And then we look at ways of actually balancing that stress out. And that could be rubbing pressure points or meridians. It could be changing your diet. It could be aromatherapy, crystals. It could be anything, whatever fits within the person's paradigm of their worldview, because it can be spiritual or it can be totally non-spiritual. And we can pretty much work with every muscle in the body as well. So it works really well with muscle pain and alleviating muscle pain. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I find when I get stressed, sometimes you don't even know that you're stressed. It's just things, there's kids, there's life, and it happens, and, you're really calm. But it's not good sometimes to be calm because your body soaks all that energy up. And I find my shoulders get really knotted and really tense, and I get whiplash. Like it feels like I got whiplash. I can't move my neck because that's where I hold all my stress. So and
I've got a technique for you.
I know, and that's how I know. So I don't even have to go, oh, I need to go get my back massage. It's like I need to just, go for a run or let out that energy because my body wants to hold on to it.
Yeah,
so, yeah, absolutely. I definitely want a tip for that one. Actually, well, tell me give me your tip now. Yeah. Sure.
So that tip is actually, there's something called auriculars or thinking caps, depending on the different types of kinesiology. Yeah. And what I love about this one, I had a beautiful friend who said to me, Carolyn, I can't do sit-ups. I feel like my head's going to explode. And I've had other clients that get up and they walk around like they've got that stiff neck because they've slept funny. So this is why I know this works. Yeah. So what I would first say is you move your head from side to side to just see if there's any tension in your neck, just to see, so you can feel what it feels like beforehand.
Doing it now.
And then cool. So just see if you can move one way more than the other. And then grab your ears up the top, so the cartilage right up the top, and unroll it. So sort of unroll your ears and give it a bit of a tug. And don't be gentle. You can be a little bit, not rough, but you can sort of have a bit of tension in there. And go around your whole ear and unroll it and give it a tug all the way down to your earlobes. Okay. And you do that about 3 times. So, go up again 3 times.
Yeah, I've got my headphones on. I just realised I can't do that one. But I'm going.
Yeah, I know I can't do it properly.
Yeah, but this is the one that's in. Okay, I remember that word. How do you pronounce it? Auriculars.
Auriculars.
I remember that word when I was doing the magazine because I'm like, what the hell does that? What does that mean? So I'm going to go, and all those instructors are in the magazine, though, aren't they? So I would just.
They are.
Okay, so I'm going to go to my own magazine and go and do that. So I'll put that link as well in there so people can go back and actually read over these tips. Okay.
Just as a side note, I just wanted to give you a side note for that one. That's actually a really good exercise to do if you're going to listen to a podcast or going to a presentation and you really want to take in what the person's saying, because that also massages all the pressure points in your ears to help the neuronal pathways so that you can actually take in what you're hearing. So it's sort of got like a double effect.
Well, I need my kids to do that when they go to school. So, okay, thank you for explaining about kinesiology, because I think, once you sort of know, the meaning of a scary word, it doesn't need to be scary. And also it's complementary, like you said. If people want to, have other methods to stress relief, this can complement.
Absolutely. And I have many clients that see, some are medicated and they will see psychiatrists or psychologists or doctors, and that's fine too. Or some just might also go see an acupuncturist or a masseuse or, whoever else. But you need to figure out what works for you.
So I want to get right into some of these tips. So we've gone through what kinesiology is, and I'm going to just hand it over to you and just share more about some different tips that you've got or anything. I'm just going to hand it over to you because you're the expert. And do you want to go straight into the tips, or what did you want to do?
Yeah, I can do some. Yeah, I can do some more tips. Yeah, sure.
Do that.
So another really good one with when we're running a business, we get stressed, and this happens to all of us. You sort of don't know what to do next, especially if you've got thinking about what you have to cook for dinner as well as what time you have to pick your kid up from school or whatever else. An energy yawn. It's called an energy yawn, and that actually comes from the brain gym kinesiology. There's different types of kinesiology, which I didn't really get into today. But brain gym's one that's based around movement. And I really like this because I'd actually read up, independent from what I'd learned in the kinesiology course, I actually Googled it. And yawning interrupts our stress response. And I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And so with this technique, you're rubbing your jaw, so your TMJ, so just on either side of your jaw, and you will feel it. It may be a little bit tight because when we're stressed, we tend to hold a lot of tension in that area, which is why some people may grind their teeth at night. And if you rub that area and then you open your mouth up and down, and then you yawn, you fake a yawn. And if you fake about 2 or 3 yawns, chances are you will really yawn. You'll elicit a genuine yawn, and that will interrupt the stress response and increase the oxygen in your brain. So it's like giving your brain a reset.
Oh, wow.
So I really love that. And not only that, you will feel if you've got tension in your jaw. It's a place that a lot of different healing modalities use. Sorry, I'm rubbing mine as I'm talking to you, so I might have sounded funny then. But yeah, I really like that as a technique. Emotional stress release, that's another technique, which is basically just putting your hand on your forehead. So if you just put your hand above your eyes, you're actually technically touching your gallbladder meridian. There's 2 points up there. And it's about bringing yourself to the here and now. So when we're stressed, we're usually thinking about everything we still have to do or we don't know which way to go. This will help activate the front part of our brain, which brings us into the here and now. The
I've heard
present
of this
moment.
one. Yeah, I've heard of this one.
Yeah, it gives you that clarity that you need.
Yeah.
And it's funny, if you think about it, take away kinesiology, people do that reflex, like you just do it anyway reflexively.
True,
you just put your hand on your forehead when you're stressed. So I don't know where it actually came from, but that's a really good one to just relax and bring yourself back into now. There's another series of 4 exercises, which again comes from Brain Gym, and I do this before every client because it helps me disconnect from whatever else I'm doing and getting into the session. The first thing is drinking water, which is not technically a kinesiology technique, I realise that, but it's important to stay hydrated when we're stressed because stress can dehydrate us. Then we rub what are called our brain buttons, which are just below your collarbone on either side of your sternum. Okay. They're actually kidney points. And if you rub them, if the point's sore, so you're rubbing them on both sides, chances are the points may be sore, and mine are sore sometimes and not other times. If they're sore, you've got the right place.
Okay.
And you rub them and your other hand should just be touching your belly button. And what you're doing, you're rubbing those reflex points and it's stimulating the reflexes in your eyes. So you move your eyes from side to side and feel how smooth your eyes feel, because when we're stressed, our eyes jump, which means it makes it very difficult to read. We're not going to take in the information. And when we're in business, we're constantly reading because we need to take in what we're doing. So you're rubbing from side to side. You maybe do it 30 seconds and then swap hands. And that sort of helps activate the eyes and helps to get the vision right. Then there's something called cross crawl, which is a fantastic movement, and it's just basically marching, sort of like marching on the spot, but you're taking your hand and putting it to your opposite knee. And you're sort of walking on the spot. But what I find interesting about this is I've seen clients, whether they're children or adults, that struggle with this movement if they're stressed. And while that sounds that can't be it. It can't be true. It's the fluidity of the movement. You can do it. You might be able to do it when you're stressed, but if you're not doing it easily, then you're still stressed. So it's a really good movement to get up off your chair and loosen your body. You're sort of moving from side to side, moving your back. So that's a really nice fluid motion. So and the last question,
there's a quick question.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to see, and it's obviously obvious to you, but just from an outsider, that kinesiology is it's like recognizing that you've got stress and where the stress is, and then actually trying to heal the body. So it's like you're able to recognize it through techniques and also trying to heal what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's balancing the stress out, because we all get stressed, and it's about moving that energy. Like you said before, we don't want to push the energy down.
No.
And I'm a big believer, if you get angry, let the anger out. Just do it constructively, not destructively. Like, don't yell at someone. Do it in a good way, whether you're punching a punching bag or...
And it might not be anger. Sometimes it's just... it's just isn't it?
Frustration.
Just, And just even thinking too much, can cause you stress, because it's just, there's a lot on your mind and it has to come out. You have to make room. Like I say, my memory is only good for remembering what the kids have to do in my work. And I'm not interested in keeping any other information. Like I don't want to keep any other information because that's all my brain wants to be able to handle, because that's enough. And anything else is just going to cause tension. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the other thing with kinesiology, there's a lot of movement based. So you're getting up and moving a little bit to move your body, because when we get stressed, we actually can tighten, or even all the way down to our leg muscles. Yeah. And when that happens, the brain, like the whole body tenses up and the brain can't relax. So your neck muscles are tense and then the brain can't relax enough to actually de-stress, if that makes sense. So that's why movement's such a big part of it.
Yeah.
It helps relax the body.
Yeah.
And there's just one more that I really like, which is called hookups. I've got a few clients that use this to help them fall asleep.
It's not hookups, that hookups. Because that could be...
when you hook up with someone.
I'm just kidding.
That could cause you stress, couldn't it? Depends on who you hook up with.
Exactly. Oh, no, sorry. When I read that, I'm just like, hookups? That's an interesting stress relief. I should read further.
I'm going to pick up someone, no?
Exactly.
So this is, it might be easier to look at the picture for this one because it's a bit hard to explain, but the whole idea of it is when we're stressed and we're getting to that fight or flight response, all our energy goes to our arms and legs, because back in, the old days, in the caveman days, our amygdala wanted to set us to either fight or run away.
What did you say? Amygdala?
Amygdala, it's a part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that sort of makes the fight or flight kick in. So what this one does, so rather than having all that energy out at your arms and your legs, which is no good to you when you're sitting at a computer, the hookups helps bring that energy back in so that you're centering yourself. Yeah. And it's all about crossing your legs and crossing your hands over and bringing them up to the midline. But I think the picture might be easier to explain, so I'm not quite sure how to explain it.
Yeah.
I'll try. Put your hands out in front of you, flick them around so your palms are facing out, then cross your hands over, interlace your fingers, and bring your arms up in front of your heart. Okay. I'm not sure if that worked, but I did that myself. So, and then you breathe. You take 3 deep breaths and put your tongue to the roof of your mouth while you're breathing. And then the second part of it is you untwist your legs and you bring your fingertips together, keeping your tongue to the roof of your mouth because of the pressure point in there, and taking 3 deep breaths again. And what you're looking for is your fingertips to feel like a pulse in your fingertips, like a light pulse. And that just brings all the energy back in and helps to center you and calm you, ready to do, whether you want to go to sleep, because you could go to sleep. Great for kids if they're having a tantrum, if you can get them to do this. Obviously, when they're having a tantrum, you can't always get them to do what you want them to do. Or maybe help you center and ready to get back into whatever it is you need to do in your business.
So that's something, so you do that when you're feeling... when you're feeling a bit stressed, you can just do this as a stress relief.
Yeah, especially if you feel, there's different levels of stress, and you might feel the stress in your arms. When you get jittery, this might be really good for when you're feeling jittery and you just, that feeling when you're sitting at your desk and you just can't sit at your desk anymore and you just have to get up. That might help sort of calm that down. Okay,
so any other tips, techniques that we can use in business? Actually, no, I want to ask you, why do you think that it's so important for someone maybe to give this a go? If they're a business owner and they're maybe feeling a little bit stressed, and why do you think this might be important, just to give it a go?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had a few business people come to me, and I think the biggest reason they come to me is because they're stressed and they don't know which direction to take. Yeah. And as I'm not a business coach, so I won't tell them you need to do this because that's the logical thing to do. Mm-hmm. I will ask their body. And I guess what it helps them do, I've seen clients come away with clarity because their body tells them what the next thing is for them to do. Because if you're doing something in your business that you're doing because you're told to do it and you really don't want to do it, you may not do it in the best way possible. Whereas if you're on a massage table and you feel your body and it tells you this is the way to go, and there's something about feeling it in your body that you start to connect with, then you put the right energy into it. So it helps. One, it can help de-stress. It can help you release pent-up emotions that you may not know were even there, and it can help with clarity on which way to go with your direction. And you get that clarity anyway by releasing that stress. So
yeah, exactly.
Every session's different, but yeah, I've seen quite a few business people when they've just needed that, either a de-stress or just a bit of a clarity over where to go next.
Yeah. So what would be the difference in someone, I know there is a difference, but want you to explain that, the difference between seeing coming to you for a session or doing it themselves at home? What is the difference there for people?
Well, one, you can't really muscle test yourself independently. So you couldn't do it at home. And two, I think sometimes when you try to do it yourself, your head does get in the way and you don't trust what you're getting, or you question it too much, or you can sway it a certain way if you want to believe something. Whereas when you're on a table and someone's independently doing it for you, you sort of it's not your brain gets out of the way. You sort of get out of the way and your body does the work for you, and your body tells you what you need to do. So it's sort of getting your brain out of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot more. I mean, a session is a hell of a lot more than what we've explained here. A session usually is hands-on. It usually is one-to-one, and it is an hour. So there's so many more techniques. I've got thousands of pages of different techniques and things that could come up in a session, and it just depends on the person.
Yeah.
So that's where a session would be better than just doing it at home. But these are little quick fix, tips and techniques that you can use at home. Yeah,
yeah. So if someone, let's say, is another state, because a lot of our listeners are not in Victoria, or they are in Victoria, there's a mixture. Can they do a Skype session with you? Do we actually have to come to Carolyn to get, to get a kinesiology session, or can we do it via Skype?
You can do it via Skype because I can do what's called surrogate muscle testing for you.
Okay.
And that still opens up the whole range of balances. It just means that if there's a pressure point that obviously I can't rub it, so I would show you where to rub it on the other side, or I would tell you what you need to do.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, we could still do it, and it's just called surrogating. And because I've done that in my clinic when I'm, say, surrogating for a baby, a mum will surrogate for them, but I can surrogate for you on the other side of wherever you are, on the other side of the world, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's good to know, because some of our listeners obviously, can't come to you directly. Do you do many of those calls? Do you do many Skype calls and do a surrogate
I do a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do surrogate sessions. I do quite a few in my clinic, but on Skype, I'm building that side of it. So I have done a few in the past, and they're building slowly. So it's just one of those things that as I get the word out, sort of they're increasing.
Yeah, it's good. Absolutely. It's good because that means it opens up the whole world for you, doesn't it? And you can help more people by reaching them that way, because it's not. Obviously you can't just restrict yourself to one area. So that's another way of just opening it up, and people can come and see you. So that's good. I'll make sure I put that in the notes, because it'd be great if some of our listeners, if they want to learn more and they want to come and speak to you, that's an option to do it that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay, now we do have a member's question from Tracy Hall from Excelling in Indirect Sales. So she writes, getting into positive mode, but then gets sucked back into old ways of sabotaging my mindset. Any tips? And before you begin, this is such a common thing for human beings. And one sabotage I was really interested to read about, and I think it was Marie Forleo, who's awesome, and it was talking about how the level of success, and I felt myself like we have a level, once we reach that point, we can start self-sabotaging. And I actually did this recently. Things were going really awesome. Membership was doubled, and, we've done the magazine, podcasts, and events are going, so many great things are happening. And I'm just like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Oh, I don't think this is actually quite good. And I started saying these stupid things in my head. I'm like, oh my goodness, things are going really well. Why would I be thinking this? And it just happened to be in my feed that Marie Forleo came up talking about reaching a level of success that then you start sabotaging yourself. But thing is, when you recognize it, it's so empowering, because you're like, oh, that's what my brain's trying to do. We can get stuff, brain, because we're not stopping and you're not self-sabotaging me. So you can just go, you know what, yourself. So it's so good to recognize it. And that's probably my tip is recognizing it. But I want to hear what your tips are. That's just mine. So
and I agree with you. I think recognizing is the first key. I think the other thing is, depending on when you're sabotaging yourself, in your instance, you said it's when you felt really good, and that could be like the fear of, oh, I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone. But there could be other things that, we might always get into sabotage mode when we're flicking through Facebook and we think everybody else is doing better than us, or we go to do the accounts and we feel incompetent. Yeah. So I guess it's good to know if the sabotaging happens at a certain process that you, like, there's a pattern that happens, because then you can, prepare yourself for that sabotage to come. I know for me, the sabotages sometimes kick in a little bit more when I'm tired. So looking at making sure that you're sleeping well and eating well.
Yeah.
They're probably not so much kinesiology tips, but they're more just general mindset tips. Using the techniques that I've talked about today. So using the energy yawn maybe to interrupt that stress response.
Yeah.
Get up, walk away from the computer and just take a breather.
Definitely.
And I know sometimes those, and if that negative sabotage continues, then maybe, look, I'm going to say it, come and see a kinesiologist because we might be able to delve deeper into what it is.
Yeah.
Because everyone is different, so we can muscle test to see what's happening there.
Yeah.
And the last thing I would say is just to keep going, because sometimes that sabotage can be like a habit in your brain, like a habitual thing that happens. And the more you are able to change that habit, the more that habit will sort of dissipate and you'll start creating a new habit. So, and it's recognizing that I think we all feel that way at sometimes, that you're not alone, that we all go to the point where we go, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Everyone else is doing better than me, or whatever that sabotage is.
Exactly.
But clearing it out and tapping.
Yeah.
Look, we use tapping in kinesiology. We use tapping as well. Tapping on it could also help. So there's a few different things.
Yeah.
But I hope I sort of answered it. I guess it's recognizing where that sabotage is happening, I guess, is the first thing, and then figuring out what works for you.
Yeah, yeah. You made a good point, because I think with self-sabotage, firstly, it's recognizing that you're doing that, and that is so empowering to do that. And then not only recognizing it, but techniques around just you can't change that you feel that way. You just have to have techniques to relieve the stress that you're feeling around that. Because I can't just go, do you know what, I'm just going to accept blah, 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 even though I know it's blah, blah, blah. I have to go for a run, or I have to, have affirmations. I tell myself, it's fine, keep on going, it's fine. Just embrace that new feeling. Might be a bit scary, but it's okay. And have, those techniques that you talked about to just work yourself through it, because that's when the blocks start, and that's when you could stop recording podcasts or not release another issue of a magazine just talking personally. And that's when those blocks start happening. But if you can relieve that stress, then you can keep on going. But it won't go away. I don't think those thoughts will go away. You just learn to manage them, because they'll come up again. Yeah,
and absolutely. And the other thing I didn't mention before is I have something called a joy jar, where when something really awesome happens, I just, write it down and stick it in the jar. It's just like an old coffee jar.
Yeah.
And then when I need that little pick-me-up, I'll go back and I'll read those, and it just reminds me of that real awesome, joyous feeling. When you've kicked a goal and you feel fantastic because you've, whatever it is, like you said, you doubled your membership. You'd put that in your joy jar, and that might help you get back into that space, that mindset of how awesome that felt. Yeah. So that might sort of help short circuit the sabotage.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't even make sense. It didn't actually even make sense what was happening. Yeah. It still doesn't make sense to me, because I'm a kicking goals person. For me personally, that happens every single day. Not just in different things that I'm doing. And so I love that feeling, but it's got to be directly to helping someone. So it didn't actually even make sense to me. And it's not about even making changes, because look, I've moved 5 countries. I don't mind change. That didn't affect me. So you're like, oh, I don't know what this is. But you don't need to explain it, as long as it doesn't stop you from doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for entrepreneurs, because you're always go, 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 and your mind wants to always go, go, go. And I know I burn out, or I know when I'm about to burn out, so I just stop and I go, no, I'm having a bath. We were talking about baths before. Yeah. Having a bath is one of my favourite things in the world, because I sit there and put a few oils in there and I just zone out. Or my post yesterday in my group was derived from me watching The Flash on TV. So sometimes you get inspiration from binge watching something on TV and you go, oh, that's a nice little post. So, you can relax and still get ideas. And the mind doesn't switch off, does it? The mind just keeps going. Even when you're relaxing, the mind's still going.
Oh, yeah.
I know people that say their best ideas come when they're in the shower, and and that's happened to me. Or my ideas come to me when I'm lying in bed, and I go, that would make an awesome blog. I'm too tired to get up right now, so I'll make some notes. And the next day I go, I've lost it.
No, do you know what? The amount of videos I've recorded, I haven't done it. I haven't put them up recently, but I used to, I'd wake up and have this great idea. I'd grab my phone and I'd just record myself in bed and just say it. Or in the shower, I've grabbed my phone whilst I was in the shower. Thank God it's waterproof. And I mean, two of my book ideas have come up whilst I was in the shower, and I was drawing it out in the mist on the window.
Yep.
I was like, okay, so that's chapter 1. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to bring my desk in the shower. Okay, a waterproof laptop that can sit, and I can just sit there all day under the shower and write. And it's so true. I wonder what it is, whether it's the sound or just the fact that you can't do anything.
No,
but be naked and wash yourself.
Well, I had that conversation with somebody. I think it's because it's a space that you don't need to think, that your brain actually goes into relax mode, and then that subconscious comes in, or the intuition, or whatever you want to call it, or your higher self, or whatever. It actually has space to come in because you're not in that analytical, what do I need to do next mode. You're just literally washing your body. Exactly. So you're sort of switched that side off, and the other side has a chance to come in and talk to you. Yeah,
it's amazing. Anytime I get stuck, just have a shower. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's just finding where you get inspiration from. And if it means in the shower, for me sometimes means going for a hike and, you know, being up in the mountains and those sorts of things. Once you find that, it sort of unlocks things for you, and then you hold on to that. You don't need to find out the reason why. You just hold on to it and go, okay, that's what I need to do to get the job done. So as entrepreneurs, we do very strange things.
We do. We absolutely do.
Oh, isn't there a saying? It's like, you know, entrepreneur avoids working 40 hours a week so that they can work at 80. I'm like, oh yeah.
I haven't heard that. But it does. Your brain doesn't switch off. It's just constantly going.
Oh, it's fabulous. I wouldn't want to be anything else.
Yeah, if you can I just wanted to help one or two people. And I know when my book came out, the amount of people that came back to me and said, you were writing for me. That's exactly how I felt. And I just thought, okay, I've helped those one or two people. That's awesome. Now I can go out further. But it was so, I guess it was confirming to me that I did the right thing by being so raw. I just want to help people, and I just want people to know that they're not alone, because we're not alone. There are other people that feel like you, and when you feel a certain way and you think you're the only person in the world that feels that way, it's nice to know that there's someone else out there that does feel the same.
Exactly. I say it to my teenagers all the time. What, you think you're the only teenager on the planet that feels that way? Sorry, you're not that. No, I know. They think I'm being mean because I say you're not that, you know, unique. But when it comes to emotions, we're all in this together as human beings. We all feel the same way. So we just got to support each other. Absolutely. In that journey. I do have 5 really quick questions for you. I do this with everybody. Okay. So what's your hobby?
Playing with aromatherapy oils.
Okay. Favorite flavored ice cream?
Banana.
Oh, okay. Very good. Are you good at keeping secrets?
Yes.
Can you twist your tongue? You know, they do that thing where you twist it up. It goes up in like this, you know, the thing? You know that thing you either can do it or not do it? I don't know if there's a name for it though.
I'm not sure, but I know I can use my tongue. I can
like roll
get like a snake lolly. I don't know about that, but I can get a snake lolly and tie it into a knot using my tongue in my mouth.
Oh, I'm sure your husband likes that little trick. But you know that thing, you know when people poke their tongue out and then they do this thing where it goes in, like it, you know, it folds?
Yeah, I think I can sort of like a roll, like a Mexican wave. Yeah, I'm doing that now. Yes, I can.
Okay. I can't do that.
Do you want a video?
No, thank you very much. All these people, they can do that. I can't do it. Anyway.
If I'm understanding you correctly, yes.
Well, there's the Mexican wave, and there's the other one where you just sort of put most people know if they can't or can. But I'm sure if you can do the twist with the snake and you can do the Mexican wave, that you can do this one. I need a picture now. And
you do?
Yes. And number 5, which is more serious, is just your number 1 business tip that you want to share with all of us to end this.
Just make sure to look after your own health. So take time out when you need to take time out. Don't go hard at the expense of your health.
Yeah.
That would be that's a business tip, because we need to slow down and know that, not slow down all the time, but just know when you do need to slow down.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And I think
I always say, if you're going to go hard, then relax hard. Is what I call it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like work hard, play hard, or it's the same. Yeah, same thing. And you know, I think there's so many women that I speak to that they first start off not believing in being connected to themselves as being part of the recipe to succeed in business. And I often sort of laugh and I just think, oh, just wait. And then eventually 6 months in, when the blocks start or the stress start, or you start challenging yourself in different ways, you start realizing how strong that mind has to be, but how you actually do that.
Yes.
And so anyone who wants to tell me that mindset isn't related to business success, of course you have to know about numbers, of course you have to know about business, but when it's your own business, and I've seen this over again, I've seen someone trying to tell me what to do, and then they've started a business, and I've sat there and gone, okay, la, 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 and they're like, oh, so how much do I charge? Maybe I shouldn't charge for this. And it starts. I'm like, well, hold a minute.
Yes.
6 months ago, you were telling me that I should double my prices and do this. I said, it's not that easy when it's your own business.
Absolutely. And I think, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think running your own business is the biggest way to strengthen yourself. It's an inner strength that you find within yourself that you wouldn't find any other way. It takes a strong person. We're building each other up. We're building ourselves and each other up. We're helping each other and helping ourselves and working as a team, because that's what we do indirectly by working on yourself. You're helping someone else. Exactly. By being an inspiration, I guess, for a model.
Exactly. And you know what? To end this interview, I think I just hope that anyone who's listened has got something from this, whether it's stress techniques or just knowing that, you know, as women, we're all here together to support each other. You know, whether it's just recognizing what that stress is. You know, I think there's lots of things we've spoken about on this podcast, and which is what I love, because, you know, we might talk about one side, but when you're talking to a woman who has a passion for what they do, for example, you do kinesiology, but you're a woman in business, which often carries a whole nother level of things that you can talk about, because you just found what you loved, you know, and that's all good. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me today. I've had a blast speaking to you. I think I could chat to you all night.
Yeah, no, me too. Well, we'll do that one night.
With a glass of wine?
Exactly, yeah, and a cheese platter. Sounds good.
Absolutely, I love my cheese.
So that's it for this episode of the WBS podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find all our episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or by searching for Women's Business Society on any podcast player. If you're a female entrepreneur, head on over to WBSociety.com to find out how you can become a member. Whilst you're there, check out the WBS Magazine, which is full of tips to help grow your business. The Women's Business Society promotes, connects and motivates female entrepreneurs. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.